ethical sourcing strives to empower those who grow the plants these oils come from, no matter the cost. That means when you buy an oil from doTERRA, you're not only getting an extraordinary product, but your purchase also directly impacts lives all around the world. The farmers, the harvesters, the distillers, as well as those who transport, bottle, and finally deliver those oils to your doorstep. Now that is power packed into a small bottle. I'm sure you've heard this many times before. Our mission is to change the world one drop, one person, and one community at a time. It really is our passion and is at the core of everything we do at doTERRA. At doTERRA, we don't buy farms, we build farmers.
What's in this bottle? I say love. You see, in Nepal, living is hard and opportunities are scarce, especially after the terrible earthquake. For years, I was unemployed. My family of 5 lived in a one-room hut with a tin roof. But then doTERRA welcomed me as a harvester and lifted my entire family out of poverty. Each morning when my children are sleeping, I collect beautiful wintergreen leaves for which doTERRA guarantees a fair market price. What's more, through doTERRA's co-impact sourcing initiative, my loved ones have hope. My children are now in school thanks to donated uniforms. My husband's business is growing thanks to help opening a shop. We've even been able to secure our own land thanks to their help. And most beautiful of all, on that land, doTERRA helped construct a new earthquake-resilient home. I never dreamed we'd call a house like this our own. But this story isn't unique to us. doTERRA is empowering our entire community. We all feel safer after doTERRA funded the construction of a new modernized hospital and renovated our earthquake-damaged schools. And we all feel more self-sufficient after doTERRA opened a lab to teach sustainable agriculture practices to students and farmers alike. This remarkable journey of love doesn't end here. Each morning, I take the wintergreen leaves to doTERRA's community distillation unit. The site responsibly employs local artisan distillers who carefully capture wintergreen's natural therapeutic properties. Then the precious oil makes its way to doTERRA's state-of-the-art lab, where scientists apply the most advanced tests to ensure the oil's purity and potency. doTERRA has even partnered with over 100 research, university, and medical facilities to find the best applications of essential oils. Ultimately, doTERRA does this all because it cares about your family as much as it cares about mine. What's in this bottle? I say love.
As a company, our sourcing goals have been to always provide the best quality essential oils while helping the greatest number of people possible. I'm proud to say that we've been able to do both. And even though this has not always made things easy for us, it has ensured that we can do things the right way, which is to source the best and help the most. And this is exactly what I want to talk to you about today. Some essential oil companies choose to own and operate their own farms or even claim to own and operate their own farms. But most companies purchase essential oils from brokers and middlemen. However, neither approach is ideal. At doTERRA, we have created an entirely new system, one that has the capacity to truly empower thousands of small-scale farmers around the globe and provide a sustainable, long-term supply of the purest and most potent essential oils in the world. Our sourcing model is truly unique. And more importantly, it's working and making a significant impact for good for hundreds of thousands of people. As the largest essential oil company in the world, you might imagine we need a vast amount of oil to fulfill our needs for doTERRA certified pure therapeutic grade essential oils. Lavender, for example, is one of our most popular oils. Let's look at some numbers related to lavender. If we were to source our lavender in the most efficient, easiest, and cheapest way possible, which would be basically building a massive commercial farm in a cheap part of the world, we'd need nearly 3,000 acres of commercial farmland for this one crop. 3,000 acres! That's an enormous farm, especially for lavender. To run it, we'd honestly only need about 3 to 5 full-time employees. That's not many jobs supported, And logistically, it would actually be pretty easy for us to manage at our size. But that's just not who we are and what we're about. Profits, saving money, and cutting out small-scale, often multi-generational farmers is just not what drives and motivates us. People do. Helping the most does. So what does our lavender sourcing look like then? Our lavender, which is always 100% pure, unlike what people buy from retail and online stores, comes from several locations around the world, including, of course, Bulgaria. Instead of having a couple giant commercial farms, we choose to partner with existing small-scale farmers, most of whom have had these family farms for several generations and have struggled to continue to sustain their families through farming on a small scale. But, working with doTERRA, they can now sustain their family needs. In Bulgaria, the average size farm for one of these small-scale lavender farmers is around 10 acres. In Bulgaria alone, we partner with more than 150 small-scale farmers. In total, the number of small-scale farmers we partner with around the world to cover all of our annual lavender needs is nearly 350 farmers for just this one oil. Imagine how much effort and time it requires to coordinate, organize, and support hundreds of small-scale farmers and distillers in multiple countries just for lavender. Not only that, but we have to ensure and confirm that every single batch of lavender we receive from all these farmers meets our strict, certified, pure, therapeutic grade quality standards. And lavender's just one of over 170 different oils that our sourcing team works so hard to supply the company with. Why would we take on such a feat? Why would we go to such great lengths to source lavender this way? It may make perfect sense to a finance guy like me to commercially farm our own lavender. It would be easier, more efficient, less expensive, and more profitable to go the commercial route. But we are far more motivated by helping and empowering people and communities than by cutting costs and maximizing profits. By partnering with just these lavender farmers, more than 1,000 lives are directly impacted. It's a similar story when it comes to peppermint. We now source our peppermint oil from multiple locations, including the Willamette Valley, as well as India. And before the morning is over, we'll show you your first glimpse into our latest adventure in the fragrant fields of Indian peppermint, which are beautiful. Our peppermint needs require over 4,000 acres of farms. That's massive. By not going the commercial route, we are able to empower more than 2,000 small-scale farmers. Working with these small-scale peppermint farmers amounts to directly impacting over 9,000 lives. Again, why do we do it this way? Because doTERRA doesn't build farms, we build farmers. We, and this includes each of you, are a company that cares. Think about how many lives are changed through these employment opportunities. Okay, one more example. As you may know, tea tree is native to Australia. We have an amazing sourcing partner in Australia that has a beautiful, larger size farm for tea tree, which many of our Aussie Diamond Club winners have visited in recent years. It's a beautiful family-owned farm that's well run. They produce amazing certified pure therapeutic grade oil. We are grateful for the partnership and proud to be offering you the oil that they produce. But as the size of doTERRA has grown and our needs for more tea tree oil have expanded, we looked for a way to source tea tree through small-scale farmers as well, and we found the perfect area in Kenya. Why Kenya? Because we source the best and help the most. We've invested significant time and resources into helping small-scale farmers in that region to grow and harvest crops for essential oils. We did this for several reasons. First being that Kenya has an ideal climate for growing several of the plants from which we extract essential oils. The second reason is that we have an amazing opportunity to create and sustain game-changing economic opportunities in underdeveloped communities in a region of the world that's relatively stable. Several years ago, we started to work with some growers in southern Kenya to grow tea tree. I remember one family in particular where the parents had many children, and relied solely on their small 2 to 3 acre farm for their sustenance. They grew watermelons and vegetables, and they sold them in the local markets. It was always hit and miss as to what their income would be because of weather, crop quality, and even the demands of the market. When they were approached about growing tea tree for us, they were a bit skeptical, but agreed to put 1/3 of their farm in tea tree because of our agreement to fund the seedlings for them. I remember being there as the first harvest occurred, and our team in Kenya helped them with the harvest. We weighed the harvest foliage, and we paid them on the spot. They were surprised to be paid immediately, and were even more amazed that the amount they received was more than 4 times the amount they would have received from their prior crops on that land. They were excited to be able to fully fund the schooling needs of their children in advance with excess money available for their other needs. It's the first time they had ever been able to do that, and I'll forever remember the smile on their faces. It was priceless. Well, today, they have all of their available land planted in tea tree, and their neighbors are wanting to do the same. In Kenya and other regions around the world, the farmers that we work with have an income opportunity that simply just didn't exist before. They can participate with their family and friends in an industry that was previously unavailable to them with a partner that is honest and fair. We pay our farmers directly. We don't work with middlemen. We make it a point to pay them on time and to pay them fairly. This opportunity provides them with economic security that has not been possible for generations. The adults, the mothers and the fathers, they're earning enough that their children no longer have to work by their side, but can attend school. Think about that for a moment. Recently, many of us have come to understand the luxury that sending your children to school can be, and finally, in these farmers' lives, they're earning enough money for their children to go to school, in some cases completing kindergarten through 12th grade for the first time in their family's history. This is an opportunity that has the power to create ripples of change, change that we're fortunate to be part of. The number of new tea tree farmer partnerships we have in Kenya is over 550 today, and it's growing quickly. These micro tea tree farms are an average of only 1/4 of an acre. Could we have easily sourced this amount in Australia or elsewhere? Yeah, of course, we could have. But the income generated by these small-scale farms for these families in Kenya is transformative. Nearly 2,000 lives are directly impacted by these 550 farmers. 2,000 lives that are changed forever. Sourcing essential oils this way has been difficult. It's presented complex problems, creating more work for our global sourcing team and for many of us at the corporate office. But when we look in the eyes of the children or the parents who are benefiting from this, we always know that it is absolutely 100% worth it. We didn't set out to find the easiest way to source essential oils. We set out to find the best way and the right way to source essential oils. Our sourcing goal is to empower as many farmers as we can around the world, while also empowering you with pure essential oils that make a difference in your lives. We do everything we can to make sure the hundreds of thousands of small-scale farmers and harvesters around the world that we work with are also empowered by our partnership. doTERRA does not and never will cut corners. We are absolutely committed to purity and potency, but also in empowering small-scale farmers to bring you the highest quality essential oils our beautiful and amazing earth has to offer. We source the best and help the most. We hope you feel great pride in working with doTERRA, because the work you do is truly changing the world.
Wow, it is amazing to see how many small-scale farmers doTERRA directly supports. It makes me proud to be part of such a caring organization. I hope you feel that way too. As a company, we're always looking for ways we can have a greater impact on the farmers and communities we partner with. We call this effort co-impact sourcing. And when we say source the best and help the most, that is what we're talking about. In 2014, Emily Wright and Tim Valentiner took a trip to Haiti to visit a potential sourcing partner and some of the farmers they work with. The experiences they had and the relationships they formed on this trip forever transformed doTERRA's sourcing philosophy. And that was the beginning of what has now become known as co-impact sourcing.
So I went to Haiti. It was with the intent of getting an exclusive contract on a vetiver quality that we had never seen before.
One of our goals is to source the highest quality plants which produce the highest quality essential oils. And that led us to Haiti and sourcing vetiver oil.
But when we arrived, our perspective completely changed.
When we went on this trip to Haiti, it was learning about the growing area, meeting with the distiller that we were looking to partner with. But then a huge priority for us was visiting the actual production areas, going and sitting with the farmers themselves.
So as we sat down with these community leaders in this little grass hut, and they grabbed their little megaphone and they started talking to us about their hopes and their dreams and what they wanted to accomplish. And I remember one particular individual saying, I have a dream that someday we'll have access to clean water that won't make my family sick. And then it hit me. All of the people that I'd seen going up and down that rocky road were carrying these vegetable jugs, going down into the closest town to collect water that wasn't even potable. They would have to carry it on top of their head or in their arms, or some of them were fortunate enough to have a donkey, 3 hours round trip every single day. Through these conversations that we began to have, we said, we have to start sourcing differently. It can't just be about the oil and getting the best quality oil that we can find. It has to be about lifting the people that are planting and harvesting and distilling these precious oils. And if we take care of them, their pride is going to flow into the oil, and they're going to take care of us in ensuring that we have the very best quality essential oil that we could possibly imagine.
This first trip to Haiti was the genesis of trying to identify how can we do that more effectively? How can we source the best but also truly help the most?
So Haiti is really what gave us the vision for co-impact sourcing. But now we get the opportunity to go around the world. We source our oils from over 40 countries. Most of them are developing countries.
In our pursuit of purity, it's not only about pursuing the purest product, but doing so in a way where we can have pure business practices and intentions as well, by sourcing the very best and helping the most as we do so.
So that trip changed everything for us, didn't it? We went just
we
to
had
find
no idea what it was going to lead to.
Just to find vetiver, to vet out our partner, and boom, everything changed, and co-impact sourcing was born, and we've never looked back since.
Yeah, I had only been with doTERRA for about 4 or 5 months at that point, and once we learned about this oil, wanted to go on the ground, work to see where the plants are being harvested, how the farmers were organized, and really understand more about the oil and the distillation process. That was the original objective, but then once we got to the community in the area, it opened up a whole world of there's so much that can be done here to link social impact and our humanitarian work with Healing Hands directly in the communities where we're sourcing.
Right, completely changed our perspective.
Yeah, and I have to hold this up. This is actually that bottle, the sample that started all of this.
That first trip.
The first oil sample we received, and thought we've got to go see where this is coming from and meet the partners and the farmers. And
right.
So a lot has come from this bottle.
It's a pretty special trip. So now we're really excited to be joined by our sourcing partner, George Ali, straight from Port-au-Prince, Haiti. So, hey, George, so excited that you could join us today.
Okay, it's a pleasure to be with you, Emily and Tim. And like always, every year, it's always a pleasure when I come to Utah to be with the family, the doTERRA family, and to talk about the good things that doTERRA is doing down in Haiti in 2014 when you came. It's changed the life of many, many, many people.
I remember you and I having this experience as one of the committee members said, I have a dream of having access to clean water that won't make my family sick. And it was this moment that changed everything for all three of us. I had no idea that my people in 2014 didn't have access to water.
Myself, when I saw those things, it went it's like, I don't know how to explain, because my heart was like, you know, I don't know how to say that in English, but déchiré. That means it's like something was pulling on my heart. So when I met you, and especially that day that we were together at Saint-Hilaire, I said to myself, George, we have to do something, because you have a company that have people in it that you have been talking to that wanted to help. And I think that's the best way, you know, because each community has their own needs. That's how I feel about Haiti. Even if I travel after 15 days or 20 days, the most I want to come back. When I think about what the work that we do in Haiti, how we help people and how those people help us also, you know, I think I have to go and give whatever I can back to them, you know, and this is why I'm probably, you know, here. But being separated with my kids and my wife, it's another chapter that I don't know for how long, because now I can't even go to Canada, because only resident and Canadian national can travel to Canada. So I've seen them since December. I don't know when.
George, your commitment to your country is so inspirational, and your passion for helping those communities.
I remember when the hurricane came through, and we were so concerned about you and so concerned about our harvesters. We wanted to make sure they were okay. And what impressed us so much about you, George, is that you knew each and every one of them by name. You had them listed. You knew who your harvesters were. You knew who their family members were. And you went and made sure every single home was okay. And we were able to work with you to provide the supplies to make sure their homes were rebuilt. But it touched us so deeply that you knew them all by name and you made sure they were all okay. And that is the heart of George Ali, the person that makes sure doTERRA has the best vetiver in the world. You make sure every single person is taken care of. And that's why you stay in Haiti, and we love you so much for it.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, especially coming from both of you, you know. And like I told you, I spend more time with them than with my family. So they are part of my family. So
you can tell.
Yes.
And what I like is like they make my life change, so for a better life. And we make them change their life too. You know, so it's like you give me this, I take this, I give you this, and you give me back this. So it's like a chain. I always like to mention that it's like a motorcycle chain or a bicycle chain, you know?
The chain doesn't work unless all the pieces are connected and working together.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's for me a way of life that is probably different than life in America, you know, but definitely once you get attached to a country like Haiti, it's very difficult to forget about it, you know.
I will never forget the feeling that I had in Haiti. And I agree with what you say, is you can't go to Haiti and not have it hold a piece of your heart. And Haiti definitely has our heart. Thank you so much for what you do, George. We are so very grateful. And thank you for giving us your time today to be part of this event. We love you.
Thank you, George. And will always be a pleasure to do things in life with you guys.
George, I wanted to mention that this connection is obviously a unique year, but you and Marcel, your partner, are the only ones that have been to every single convention since 2014. So we didn't want to make it any different this year. So thank you for connecting and being with us anyway, despite the circumstances. And we can't wait to see you again soon, and even before next year as well.
Thank you. And also, I want to thank my partner, Marcel, you know, for giving me the strength also to do whatever I do here. Because we are, as a team, we are connected, you know,
Yes.
and having you guys connected with us can make us do better things for the people of Haiti.
Absolutely. And we look forward to what more we can do in the future together.
Exactly.
Yes. Thank you, George.
Thank you, George. Much love to you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, and will always be a pleasure to be part of the convention.
Thank you.
Even if it's online.
We love you so much.
I love you too very much. Team.
Love you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
So in June 2014, we wanted to bring our top wellness advocates to Haiti. It was a pretty amazing experience as we turned the water on for the very first time.
And it actually became what has now turned into many sourcing trips to multiple locations around the world. But this was really the first
one
sourcing trip ever of being able to bring wellness advocates on the ground to a sourcing area and see it all firsthand.
Right.
So this was the first of what's now become commonplace throughout the world.
Exactly. So we wanted to bring in some of our top wellness advocates who are with us on that trip so that you can hear their experience and to know kind of how it changed their perspective. So thank you, Wes Hobson, Tammy Stevens, for joining us today. We're so excited to have you.
Thank you for having us. It's awesome to be here.
Yeah. It's good to see your faces. We wish we were in person, but this is the second best thing.
Yes.
So, Wes, I would love to know how that first sourcing trip to Haiti changed your perspective towards doTERRA.
Well, I mean, it was a huge impact, not only how the business was with doTERRA and doTERRA was itself, but actually with my life. I was a pro triathlete for 12 years, and I used to do the World Cup circuit, and I raced in over 25 countries, and a lot of those countries would be in developing countries and third world countries because the tourism board would have us go there and promote their country. But I'd always be there, I'd do the race, and then I'd leave and go on to a different race. And what doTERRA made me do was for 3 or 4 days, stop and see what is happening in these countries that are so poor and impoverished. And it made me open my eyes that, oh my gosh, there is a need here. And seeing what doTERRA was doing to try to solve as much as possible the hardships that these people have was just truly incredible. And for me, is definitely a life-changing moment. It's hard to believe that it was 7 years ago that we did that because it still is embedded in my mind as far as the impact that it's had on my life.
I love hearing that perspective from you. Were there Were there any harvesters that you connected with on that trip in particular?
On the second day, we actually went to where we harvest. And we had been in these four-wheel drive trucks for a couple hours driving to that point, and we're going up these bumpy roads and everything. And I was just getting really annoyed because it was going so slow because the roads were so rough. So then we get to where we harvest, and maybe I'll get into that a little bit later as far as the harvesting itself. But after the harvesting, we're going to the community area where they're going to do a welcoming ceremony for us. And I said to myself, I am not getting in that SUV again. I don't care. So without asking anyone, I just started running. Because there's only one road. There's only one road up this hill and over. And I'm like, I think I'll find the school. So I started running. Within a minute of starting this run, and here I am in running shoes, my running shorts. I did have a T-shirt on, Emily. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. But it was hot. It was hot and humid. But anyway, within a minute of this run, this Haitian comes out of his shed and goes, hey, 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 and just starts running next to me. And here we are running together. We don't know the language. We're giving thumb signals of too fast, too slow. He's like, no, 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 okay, okay, okay. This guy, keep in mind, Haiti is what, 80 degrees, 85 with that much humidity. This guy is wearing Keds, jeans, and a long sleeve black shirt. And he's running with me, and we're not running slowly. We're probably running like 8-minute pace. But it was such an impression for me, for someone just so willing to come out and just say, hey, I want to run with you, brother. And I want to run with you to the community center where we're going to have this welcoming thing. And he's one of the local harvesters. He's probably like 18 years old. But along the way, all the other Haitians would say, oh, gringo, gringos, we're running together and all this fun stuff. But we just had the greatest time. And then after the welcoming ceremony, he stayed around me. And after the welcoming ceremony, we decided to run back. So we're running back, the two of us, once the SUV started. And we ended up making probably the only wrong turn possible. And we went down this really steep hill. And then all of a sudden, the SUV cars start honking and stuff, telling me to come back. And I look at him. He looks at me. I say, you ready to go up? He goes, no, no, no. So he was done. I'm like, what can I give this guy to remember this moment? And we didn't have much. So I gave him actually my doTERRA hat as a memory. But for me, it's one of those things where here you are, you can take this moment, and there's language barriers, there's economical differences, and yet doTERRA was able to take us and put us together.
Tammy, you were also there on the trip, and like Emily mentioned at the beginning, this was a relatively small group compared to what Presidential Diamond trips are now, but this was the first where we were able to take a group of our top leaders to a sourcing location. Yeah. What was most meaningful for you on this particular trip? What stood out, and you know, how has it helped form or change your perspective in terms of what doTERRA is all about?
Well, many things, of course, but one of the things is actually you, Tim. Jim and I actually visited with you quite a bit, and the impact that that had on us, not only what you were doing there, but in other places, and kind of that bigger picture of the whole idea of co-impact sourcing. It just impacted me so much how we all play a role and that we all work together, and one person isn't more important than the other, that we can't even do what we do if it wasn't for those people over there, and what doTERRA and you and your team of people have done. And it just, these villages all across the world, not even just in Haiti, but that they're empowering those people to be leaders in their communities so that they can have a better way of life. And you could tell they were excited about this. They were excited about you. They were excited about us and what was happening, and the vetiver, and of course the school and the water. And what a contrast that when you choose to take your influence and your energy and you focus on a group of people, how you can bring them hope. And so, yes, that for sure forever changed my life.
Thank you. Yeah, I certainly remember our conversations on the trip, and there's no place like being out in the field to experience this, because we can try and relay this in videos or even in brochures or online, but there really is no other way to fully understand or see other than being there in person and experiencing it and seeing the people that are making this happen. And I love what you said of that this is really connecting a full chain that wellness advocates and consumers and people that are using these precious essential oils, being able to look all the way back to where they're actually coming from, who's farming the raw materials, how are they being distilled, and the whole process. It takes all of us involved to make this happen. It can't happen without the production, and it can't happen without people that understand how precious and important these resources and these essential oils are and how they need to be used. And this is the magic of trying to bring that together. And there's so much need, especially in Haiti, but there's so much potential for good of impact that we can have because of that.
Yeah, I agree. And it feels just so easy, doesn't it, to open that bottle and until, like you said, that you're there. And if anybody has a chance to go on a co-impact sourcing trip, I so recommend that you do it, because it's just different when you can see and smell and touch, and you're digging up those roots and you're seeing them, you get the dirt out of them and they're packing them down, and it doesn't just happen like that. And I think that we oftentimes here think that, well, it just appeared, right? It just appeared in that bottle, and the whole process is so involved, and so many people are needed that our piece to go out and share the oils is just really a tiny piece of impacting people's lives, but we all do our piece. We all do our piece.
So when you look at vetiver, which is a grass, it's got these massive root systems where the essential oil comes from, that the harvesters are digging up out of the ground. And we gave you the experience to harvest vetiver root for yourself. So Wes, you're a big strapping man, right? If you're a pro triathlete, how easy was it for you to harvest the vetiver root?
My shoulders were sore after swinging a pickaxe 10 times, to be honest. I mean, it was not an easy job at all. You take this pickaxe and you got to hammer probably 15 to 20 times, really hammer, to get down to probably 1.5 foot deep below the root, to pull that part of the root. And I believe some of those roots grow like 4 feet deep or something. And then you take a machete, after shaking all the dirt off. You got to shake all the dirt off. And then you take a machete and you got to chop off maybe, I think you leave about 4 inches of root or 5 inches of root or something like that so you can replant it. But you got to chop off all that root. And then, of course, you take all that root and you got to go and you put it where I think it dries for 3 days or something. And then you put it in a truck to take it to the distillery. Man, there's a lot of work. And I remember having a picture taken from a bunch of vetiver that's on a truck. And I think, Tim, you said that truck full of bales of hay will only produce 1 gallon of vetiver. And I'm like,
yeah,
all
the yield
of that
is very low. All
of that for 1 gallon of vetiver. So I'm thinking to myself, now whenever I have a bottle of vetiver, I realize the value of what it took. And not just this oil, but a lot of oils. So I was very impressed. It's not an easy thing with how they harvest it.
So Tammy, after you were able to experience how difficult it is to harvest the vetiver root, right? And the harvesters do it day in and day out. How did it change things for you as you taught people about the benefits of essential oils?
So it wasn't easy for me to dig one of those little roots out. And I think that what it did was, again, it just helped me to realize the value of each little drop, and that there was somebody there. I'm thinking of what the people's hands looked like that worked there. They worked in the dirt, right, and used those huge picks and did that. And then their hands were just old and leathery, and just the work that it involved to get enough roots to pack down, to then go to the next step and to squeeze out 1 little drop out of our bottle. It was, it definitely changed it. The value, and I think how precious it is, just how precious it is, and the respect of the oils.
Both of you have been on many co-impact sourcing trips now since that initial one to Haiti. How have these trips changed your life? And Wes, if you want to go first?
You're making me tear up because I'm thinking about all those trips. I mean, one, I was able to take my 15-year-old daughter at the time to Nepal to see how wintergreen is harvested. And the impact that doTERRA does, not just to the community by paying them to do the harvesting, but what doTERRA is doing with painting and sanding desks, with building schools, with creating medical centers, with building a dam in Kenya where we separate the fresh water from the salt water so that the cattle can feed and so that they can feed the plants, the crops that are there. In Bulgaria, where we have a halfway house that we're helping for teenagers that have been basically abandoned from middle school. It makes me realize the value of what life is, the value of, one, what we have, and the value of what we can give.
All right, Tammy, how have you been changed through these trips?
I would have to say, if there was one word that comes to mind, it would be trust. These people that decided to plant vetiver and to do that rather than crops that they could eat or that they knew for sure they could sell down in the city, that them taking that chance and deciding to trust has turned into far more blessing than they could ever imagine. And how true that is with every relationship, whether it be with our spouse or our children, our team members, our friends, people in our community, the people we're in partnership, right, our businesses, that when we trust and take that chance, because sometimes people aren't necessarily maybe it doesn't turn out well, but when we do take that chance, that it creates that atmosphere where really good things can happen far beyond our imaginations. And that's how I look at these villages, that they didn't just get paid for their vetiver, they got schools and water. And to me, what a word picture that is, what a picture of just the beauty of people from even different nations trusting each other and believing that as we work together and do our piece, that really good things can happen, even far beyond what we expected.
I wanted to add one thing, and that is, we as wellness advocates have no excuse. We have no excuse for not enrolling people. We have no excuse not to be motivated, because we see those people on the other end that are working so hard. And so when I hear people say, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this, I'm just like, no, you can, because I've seen people even work harder than what they can achieve. So I just wanted to add that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you both for coming together and sharing your experiences with us, because we couldn't do what we do for people in Haiti and all of the other countries where we source these beautiful oils from if you weren't out sharing these gifts of the earth with the world. Thank you so much, Wes and Tammy, for joining us. We're so grateful for the look back and to share those experiences that changed us all. And I just want to thank all of you for being a part of this life-changing work. Without everything that you do, we couldn't do what we do on the other side of the bottle. And we are just so proud of all of our sourcing partners around the world. So thank you all.
Essential oils are everywhere. Their therapeutic benefits have led to a massive surge in popularity. You see them for sale online, in social media, on Amazon, even the grocery store shelf. But you have to ask yourself, was it ethically and sustainably sourced? With the increased popularity of essential oils, too many companies, big and small, are in the dark as to where their oils are coming from. Some even intentionally take advantage of farmers and distillers while cutting corners and padding profits. They advertise their products as 100% pure when they truly have no visibility into who is producing the oils or how it's being done. They did, however, wrap it in a pretty label and bought some Google ad space. It's easy for a consumer to get lost in this growing marketplace. Since 2008, doTERRA has sold more than 187 million bottles of essential oils to nearly 9.8 million customers worldwide. They trust doTERRA because we only source the very best essential oils in the world. Since many plants grown for essential oils thrive in developing countries, doTERRA is committed to making sure the lives of each farmer, harvester, and distiller are better because of our partnership. We call this co-impact sourcing. Positive impact for everyone along the entire supply chain, and the purest essential oils for you. Our co-impact sourcing commitment is to 1, be directly involved at the source, Through this, we know the people and processes involved. 2, ensuring positive social impact, including job creation, fair labor conditions, and even community development projects. And 3, environmental stewardship and sustainability. You get the highest quality and most effective essential oils, along with the knowledge that your purchase protects growers and distillers from being cheated by middlemen and large corporations. When you purchase a doTERRA essential oil, you can be a conscious consumer and know you are getting oils that are not only traceable, but are proven and tested to work for you and those you care about. To learn more about co-impact sourcing and our sourcing guiding principles, and to hear the stories from farmers and distillers across the globe, visit sourcetoyou.com. doTERRA. Pursue what's pure.